Today, I'm going to be talking about Nintendo's future and their next-gen console. Here's the thing, Nintendo has to release a new console in the next few years, but before I go over my predictions, let's look at Nintendo's history. Looking at the recent console history can help us predict the future, so let's start with the Nintendo DS. The DS came out in 2004, and 2 years later, a new iteration of that console also was released. It was called the Nintendo DS Lite. 2 years after that, we saw the DSi, and then the following year, we also saw the introduction of the XL lineup. And all of these consoles could play the Nintendo DS games. In 2011, 7 years later, we saw the Nintendo 3DS, which is a completely new console. Yes, of course it can still play Nintendo DS games, but the original DS could not play 3DS games, so I'm going to consider it as a new console, since it has exclusives. Just like the Nintendo DS, the 3DS also had many different versions. So the original 3DS came out in 2011, but then in 2012 we saw the 3DS XL. In 2013, we saw the 2DS, which is the same as the 3DS without the 3D capabilities, but it could still play the 3DS games. And then in 2014, we saw the new Nintendo 3DS and the new Nintendo 3DS XL. What a name. And this seems to be a trend with Nintendo to release a base console and then over the years introduce new iterations to cater to different audiences, such as the 2DS or the XL range. Now, we have to remember that the Nintendo Switch came out in 2017, 6 years after the 3DS. Do you see where I'm going with this? And I know what you're thinking, you're forgetting the Wii. Well, let's talk about it. In the same year as the Nintendo DS Lite, 2006, the Nintendo Wii was released. Now with the Wii, we didn't actually see many iterations of it. I think there was something called the Family Edition, but I've never seen it, and I think maybe the logo's different, but that's about it. But 6 years later, we saw a new console called the Wii U. I know it's very confusing, just slap a U at the back of the Wii, and it's suddenly a new console. I think that's part of the reason why it didn't sell so well. People were still confused. Is it a new iteration of the Wii, or is it a completely new console? And if we use the same logic as we did with the DS and the 3DS, I would consider it a new console, since the Wii U can play Wii games, but the Wii cannot play Wii U games. So these are the numbers you have to keep in mind. Between the DS and the 3DS, there was a 7-year gap. Between the Wii and the Wii U was a 6-year gap. And between the 3DS and the Switch was a 6-year gap. And because the Switch is a home and a portable console, maybe we should also think about the gap between the Wii U and the Switch, which is just 5 years. Just like how the 3DS was a new version of the DS, and just like how the Wii U was a new version of the Wii, and also by looking at this Nintendo trend of the 6 to 7 year gap, we can guess that the next gen console will be some adaptation of the Switch that will be released in the next 2 years. What I'm saying is that Nintendo's next gen console, or the Switch Pro as many people like to call it, will probably be able to play all the Switch games that you own right now, but your current Switch might not be able to play the exclusives on the Switch Pro. A few months ago, I did think that the Switch Pro would come out in 2023, but the latest Nintendo Direct changed my mind. So in the latest Nintendo Direct, a lot of people wanted to see Mario Kart 9, but instead what we got was Mario Kart 8 booster courses. And I think Nintendo wouldn't have put out Mario Kart 9 anyway, because they would be saving that for the next gen console. And why would you release a new Mario Kart game at the end of the Switch's life? And if history can prove anything, we only get one Mario Kart game per console. So the Wii U had Mario Kart 8, but the only reason I think the Nintendo Switch got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe instead of what could have been Mario Kart 9 is that the Wii U didn't sell well, and I think they were right for porting it over, because 8 years after its original release, it still holds up. The graphics look really good. So, the Direct announced that 48 courses would be released, spread out between March 2022 till the end of 2023. So there is absolutely no way Nintendo is going to release a new console in 2023. They are not going to boycott their most successful game on the Nintendo Switch. I also believe that Mario Kart 9 is already in development for the next gen console. I mean, I recently got an email asking for feedback for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but why did I get an email 5 years after the release date of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Every other feedback or survey email that I've gotten from Nintendo have been because I've purchased something from the eShop, and they usually send a survey form, to gather data, as all companies do, and they kind of ask you, did you like this purchase? Who do you usually play with? How much do you play? But those emails usually come within a month of your purchase. So why did I get an email about Mario Kart like 3 years after I purchased it? Nintendo are definitely going out of their way to gather information to improve Mario Kart 9. Part of me hopes they do a Mario Kart Ultimate like they did with Super Smash Bros. Perhaps every character that's ever been, every course that's ever been, and maybe some new characters and some new courses as well. So, knowing all of this, it leads me to believe that the next gen console, or the Switch Pro, is going to come out in 2024. Now, I gotta say that the Nintendo Switch release in March was a bit random. It didn't really give it enough time to sell well in the financial year. So I'm really thinking that the Switch Pro, call it anything but the Switch U, please, I think it will release in like August or September of 2024. I also think this gives ample time for the current Switch, Switch Lite and Switch OLED to kind of die down as Nintendo stops releasing games by the middle to the end of 2023. I mean, think about it, in 2022 we're already getting new Zelda, Splatoon, Kirby and Pokemon games. I don't think these IPs are going to appear in 2023. And maybe I'm wrong and maybe there will be a new Zelda game in 2023, but I'm gonna place my bets on remakes rather than a new Zelda game after Breath of the Wild 2. I believe that after this year, most of those Nintendo exclusive titles will be saved for the next console. So this is exactly it, my Nintendo predictions. AAA titles will stop releasing middle of 2023. There will be a dry period to phase out the current Switch models. The next Nintendo console, or Switch Pro, will release in August or September of 2024. And you'll be able to play current Switch games on the next console. The new Nintendo console will have 4K resolution capabilities, and it'll release with a new Mario or Mario Kart game. Zelda, Kirby and Animal Crossing will probably follow soon after. I'm also hoping for a new Smash Bros game, but I don't know how they're going to top Ultimate besides fixing their online connection. And if these predictions aren't true, sorry? Like, Nintendo are pretty unpredictable when it comes to innovation and gaming. I mean, just look at the Wii. It is such a departure from traditional gaming, well, at least what was traditional or normal at the time. So, who knows? But if I am correct, which I feel pretty sure about, you better come back to this video and make it go viral, or I'll be mad. So, you heard it here first. Switch Pro, I'll see you in 2024.